Now on H-Town Rush, back to school with a different look and feel. Some of the state's biggest districts finally start classes, but they're doing it differently during the pandemic. We'll walk you through each district's plans today.
Counting down to Election Day, the candidates hit the campaign trail while election workers plan for how COVID-19 will play a role at the polls. We're going to break it all down.
State of emergency. 2 million acres and counting burned in California, and fire season is just getting started.
It's horrible, and it's getting worse every year.
Triple-digit heat, hikers rescued, and the ridiculous way one of these fires started.
Well, that cooler air is probably going to stay just to our north. I'm tracking a cold front that will lower our humidity.
First at 6:30, who will win the White House? You are looking live in Washington, D.C. as we mark 8 weeks to go in the presidential race. We're now just 56 days and exactly 30 minutes away from the polls opening on Election Day. Can you believe that? And we, of course, want to make it easy for you to get up-to-date info on this year's election. Just text the keyword VOTE to the number there that just popped up on your screen. It's 713-526-1111, and then we'll send you info on mail-in ballots and also how you can register to vote. We're going to have a lot more about the election and, of course, the impact COVID-19 is going to have on all of it coming up. But first, let's get over to Cheetah Craft with a look at the forecast.
Hey, good morning. Well, we are starting off this morning already with a few downpours, and I am expecting this to continue throughout the day today. So a 40% chance for a scattered shower to an isolated downpour, packing a quick little punch to it. So low 90s, humidity in place. Notice your skycast, those heavy downpours, and then they kind of let up. So main time for rain between about 11 a.m. through 4 o'clock. But as you can see, it's already starting to kind of rock and roll. We will talk tropics and that cool front coming up in just a little bit. I'll send it back to you.
Cheetah, thank you so much. Well, alarms all across the Houston area are ringing. They are sounding this morning. Students are going back to school, but for a lot of you and your families, it's going to look a lot different. Klein ISD starts today both on campus and virtually, but Houston ISD begins completely online and will stay that way until at least mid-October. To help fill the digital divide, Trinity United Methodist Church opened a sanctuary of learning.
They will be able to come online, use our Wi-Fi inside of classrooms that we will have set up for them where they will be able to connect with their virtual educators.
Meantime, Sci-Fair also opens today for in-person and online learning. A face mask is now part of every back-to-school outfit. The district released this videos on the do's and the don'ts. KHU.com is your home for information on COVID-19 and its impact on schools. We've got reopening plans and virtual learning advice and so much more on our website.
There's a lot to cover each morning with COVID-19, so here are 3 things for you to know today. Number 1, the death toll here in the U.S. has now topped 189,000. So far, we've had 6.3 million confirmed cases. Health officials say they are watching for signs of possible outbreaks that may be connected to social events from the Labor Day weekend. Number 2, Governor Abbott extends the statewide disaster declaration. He's urging everyone, of course, to wear a mask, sanitize their hands, and practice social distancing. The governor will also announce the next steps to reopen Texas again this week. And number 3, President Trump is making big promises about a possible vaccine release. Yesterday, he claimed that a vaccine will be produced in, quote, record time. Democratic nominee Joe Biden said in response that the president has undermined public confidence in the vaccine by making it a campaign issue.
And sticking with Campaign 2020 this Tuesday morning, the pandemic is going to impact everything from the campaign itself to the voting process. Here's your Anieli Ruiz with that story.
You heard it. We're about 2 months out. That's 8 weeks away before the big election day. Candidates are crisscrossing the country, holding both in-person and virtual events because of COVID. The latest polling shows Joe Biden appears to have a slight advantage, but it's still too early to tell, especially in key battleground states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And election workers are already busy preparing for early voting. Here in Texas, that starts on October 13th and will run through the 30th. Back in July, Governor Greg Abbott added 6 extra days of early voting to ease the crowding during the pandemic. And the virus isn't just changing how we vote, it's also having an impact on how experts gauge the presidential race.
I mean, I think it's completely changed the way we conduct politics in this country. It shifted the campaign to what we call the social media, whether it's Instagram or constant tweets from our president, and clearly the Facebook.
KHOU political analyst Bob Stein says the virus will change what this final stretch looks like. He thinks close to 75% of all the votes could be cast before the election day this year. Experts want to remind people, even with the extra time, head to the polls early. The earlier you vote, the better. Guys, back to you.
Aniela Ruiz, thank you so much for your reporting this morning. And obviously, COVID-19 is set to have a large impact on the election and so much more. For information, remember, we're here to help you. Text the word FACTS, that keyword, to 713-526-1111, and we'll send you information on everything from testing to rent assistance and school reopening plans as well.
Living in constant fear. Here are the day's other big stories, starting with a new study about that from the University of Houston.
The best way to describe it is that you feel your whole body tense up and you think of the worst.
Researchers found that 2/3 of Latino students fear they or someone they know will be deported. It's an anxiety so intense it pushes some past the threshold for mental illnesses.
A high proportion of the kids in our sample experiencing clinically significant symptoms of anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder.
Night 6 of protests in Rochester, New York. A video of Daniel Prude's arrest sparked calls for justice following its release last week, months after Prude's eventual death. On the other side of the country, protests in Portland continue, more than 100 nights and counting.
A Texas City family has been searching for their therapy dog who jumped out of their SUV after a traffic accident. Bella, a German Shepherd mix, is an emotional support dog for a wheelchair-bound grandmother. There is a reward, plus the gratitude of 8-year-old Aubrey and her family.
And that's a base hit right field. Terrific job of hitting by Murphy. It's going to knock home a pair, and the A's lead 6-0.
The Stros shut out in Oakland, 6-0. They'll get another shot at the A's tonight at 5. And the Rockets hoping to take a playoff series lead against the Lakers. Game 3 is tonight at 8 p.m. And those are the big stories on this Tuesday morning.
This is video of the El Dorado fire, one of several burning in California. At last check, it was up to 9,600 acres with only 7% containment. And though it's sometimes hard to pinpoint how these fires start, CAL FIRE says they know with this one, it was a pyrotechnic device used during a gender reveal party. Now, when we shared this news on our Facebook page yesterday, hundreds of you weighed in, a lot of you saying, again, this isn't the first time. Did they not learn the lesson? Because, yeah, this has happened before. Remember back in 2008, a Border Patrol officer's explosive gender reveal started an $8 million wildfire in Arizona. Now, he was charged with a misdemeanor. He paid $100,000 in restitution, and he got 5 years of probation. That's what a lot of you on Facebook said you'd like to see happen here, that the couple should face charges for endangering so many people and animals. Investigators say the family did try to put the fire out with water bottles, but it was just ineffective in 4-foot grass.
It is a tragedy. It's not what the family intended. Obviously, it's probably going to be a traumatic experience for them. This is not what they wanted to remember their child. So, but that doesn't make the accident less severe.
A lot of you also sounded off saying this should be the end to gender reveal parties altogether. And a whole lot of you are sending prayers to the people, all of the people who are affected. Because remember, we're just talking about one fire here, and there are dozens and dozens of them burning all over the state of California. Cheetah, I bet they're wishing they're getting the rain that's in our forecast.
Oh, yeah, they really, really need it. They've had a really hot, dry stretch of really a summer, really. I mean, California and the entire desert Southwest. Here locally, not the case today. We are tracking a good 40 to a 50% chance for some of these scattered downpours. A quick moving half an inch of rain is very possible and more, maybe upwards of even an inch with some of these heavier downpours. So keep the umbrella handy today. We'll talk more about your 7-day forecast in just about 6 minutes. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Cheetah, we'll see you then. 6:39 is your time now. Coming up, a new viral claim says that Nancy Pelosi is next in line for vice president if Joe Biden wins the election, then steps down. But this one isn't quite true. We'll explain. Plus, new calls for accountability at Fort Hood, the latest death that got the attention of the Navajo Nation. And Amazon imposes major restrictions on the sale of seeds. Details ahead.